Yeah, you're the NHS Menopause lead, and she's the founder of the Vibrant Midlife Wellness. And of course, I have Lola Ahonkai. She's a mental health advocate and and founder for Lightway Counseling. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining me this evening. As we jump right into this, I'm going to let you do a bit more justice in introducing yourselves and the work that you've been doing, especially as it pertains to our conversation tonight. So, do you want to go first, Dr. Shags? Who are you? And tell us a bit more about you and what you do and how you help women.
Hi, my name is Dr. Shagun Lesomi. I'm a consultant gynecologist, and I've been doing the work, well, just working in gynecology generally since 2002, and I've carried on till now. I've got a lot of different sort of facets to how I've tackled women's health through my career, and we just carry on every new phase, every new thing coming up. We try to learn and imbibe it in our practice. In terms of being with the FHF network, this has been, I would say, right from day one. So we've been trying
That's
to
right.
build this charitable organization, trying to get to as many women as we can in many underserved populations, um, both here in the UK and in Nigeria, and hopefully we shall start looking more towards West Africa as well.
That's right.
But yeah, so I'm just hoping that we can just have a good chat about menopause. It's in the news now. Recent articles are now saying doctors are meant to start specifically questioning about the menopause starting from next year. So it should be in guidelines, at least here in the UK.
Amazing.
Yeah, again, it's a topical issue now. So glad to be here to discuss.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Shags. Um, Bookie, would you like to go next, if that's all right?
Hello, good evening, everybody. My name is Bookie. And you know how women struggle with symptoms through the menopause, i.e., in their life and in their work. So, the work that I do, I help them stay well, help them feel confident and, fully effective. And I also help organizations retain their best midlife talent. I lead, you said that earlier on. I lead the workforce menopause support at NHS England, and that's responsible for menopause support across our NHS organisations. And I do that within the NHS and serve that workforce and the population. But I also serve the local community via Vibrant Midlife, which is a wellness practice. I provide menopause support in the community, specifically or more so to Black and Brown women. So that's me.
Thank you. Thank you. And welcome. Thank you for joining us tonight. Um, and Lola, you're up next.
Hi, everyone. It's good to be here. My name is Lola Ahonkai. I'm a person-centered counselor and psychotherapist, and I run a small practice where I don't just see women, but I see men, women, young people to discuss any issues to do with their mental health and well-being, and to strive to get them to self-actualize and live the life that they want to live, and not held back by any past issues in their childhood or adulthood. But I also am a family systemic practitioner. So I work with families that they see as troubled families, working in a systemic way to see how we can affect change for the whole family. So I'm just very glad to be here this evening.
Amazing, amazing, amazing. Thank you. Thank you for joining us. And I'm glad also that it's just not women having this conversation tonight. We've got a consultant gynecologist who's also male. And honestly, it's important, even on this journey, that we have the men in our lives or the men around us, our allies, and can understand the things that women are going through in this new era, new season, and are able to support. So Thank you everyone for being here tonight, and warm welcome to everyone. Honestly, personally, before I even go into my menopause symptoms, Lola's got a bit of an idea. She's my round partner sometimes when I just want to go off because I'm like, am I going crazy? Is something wrong with me? You know, and that's really an important thing to have. Honestly, a support system, someone you can actually talk to, someone, it's really, really important to have that in your corner, and people that you can share with and know that you're not going crazy, that is just a new era, your body's changing, things are happening. And so, yeah, thank you everyone. Before I get into some of my symptoms that I've started having recently, and I'm going to ask you, I'm not going to jump into the questions, but just I'm so eager, Buki, I was going to ask you about anxiety. What's your experience with women and menopausal symptoms and anxiety? But before then, honestly, I wanted to bring a scripture that I was thinking about earlier on today, which is 3 John 1 2. And it says that, beloved, my friend, I pray that you are prospering in every way and that you continually enjoy good health, just as your soul is prospering. And I realized that, honestly, for my body to be prospering, to be in good health, my soul, which also comprises of my thoughts, my mind, which Lola comes in, and honestly, must be in a good place. And then my body can be in a good place. And it's no wonder that even that the Bible, says to us that, we must think good thoughts, thoughts that are uplifting, edifying. And, a while ago, I was in some kind of conference seminar, and they were trying to describe how the things that we think about, the thing that we dwell on, can actually send some kind of, if not vibration, to your body and release chemicals, that can make you well or unwell, make you happy or send you to some kind of other way, and which also affects your body. So the things that we think about, the things we dwell on, what we surround ourselves with, all of those kind of things, honestly, because we are spirit, soul, and body, they're all connected. We must be doing well in all three to be able to live healthy life, if you like. So, menopausal symptoms. Recently, I was having major symptoms. So personally, I had fibroid issue for a long time, and I had to have hysterectomy, which so I had to. My menopause was induced. So, and that's another thing I wanted to ask Dr. Sheggs later on today, because after the hysterectomy, I started having hot flushes, I remember. So I don't even know when my perimenopause started and where I am right now. So maybe Dr. Shaks, you can help me if there's a way that I can calculate how after the hysterectomy, what my stage is in that journey of perimenopause, menopause. And I don't think I'm postmenopause yet because all of the symptoms are real right now and doing great things. But warm welcome everyone, and please share your thoughts with your thoughts and your questions in the chat. We have the experts tonight, experts here who can help us. It's a safe place, and we're having honest conversations. Well, we're sharing our own experiences, and so please ask your questions away. Yes. So I'm going to start with you, Dr. Sheggs. And what we do at the Feminine Health and Fiber Support Network is have conversations like this that well, most people don't want to have, or we don't want to have it, especially from our cultural biases as Black people. So we just come and have conversations and let women ask their questions to be able to help um, create a support system and provide education and information to help women live better, really. So Dr. Shex, I'll ask you the first question before I go around the table and maybe uh, I'll ask the ladies where we are in our journey of menopause and what our symptoms might be currently. I know mine, they're so real. But yes. So, Dr. Shex, from a clinical standpoint, explain to us, you know, also for the men who might be listening to this, who might be watching this, what exactly happens in the body during menopause? Dr. Shex, are you there? Oh, sorry.
Can you see me?
Yes, now I can.
All right. So in a way, the best way to just give you the menopause from the at least from a clinical standpoint is I think many people are familiar with ovaries. Ovaries are there are two ovaries in the body, and the ovaries produces hormones,
Mm-hmm.
which is the estrogen and the progesterone. And the way to just think of it is just think of the ovaries like like master chefs in a kitchen. And for most of your life, from puberty onwards, these master chefs are busy in the kitchen. They are whipping up just the right amount of estrogen and progesterone. And this is what drives the menstrual cycle. So it supports the heart, and
Mm-hmm.
it also supports bone health,
Mm-hmm.
and it does much more. People talk about their hair and things like that. Menopause is that point actually in time when those chefs they start to retire, they gradually and then completely stop producing these key hormones, so the estrogen and the progesterone. It
Mm-hmm.
isn't usually a sudden switch. You understand? As they are retiring, they might not bring out as many meals or as quickly. So, but it's that sort of slow retirement. And it's a transition that can actually take years, which is why you've heard different terminologies like the perimenopause, menopause, postmenopause. But the official diagnosis of menopause, which helps us clinically,
Mm-hmm.
is when you've stopped having periods for 12 months. Now, for a lady that has had a hysterectomy, in her early 40s, it can become difficult to determine what the menopause per se is because the definition relies on the periods stopping for 12 months.
Mm-hmm.
And again, that period when we now call it the menopause or the postmenopause, the chefs at this stage have closed up shop and the body has to learn to function now without the daily specials that the chefs have been serving up.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Any other so except if you have any other questions, otherwise that's about it. Good, hopefully easy to understand.
Okay. So I wanted to, before we carry on, actually, I come to you, Buki, in your work with the NHS and the menopause. Um, what would you say that is the most common ignored symptoms, when women come to you or come to the clinic? So first of all, before I get it all mixed up, the work that you do in NHS with the menopause, do you what was it about? Explain a bit more to us, please.
So, invariably, it's workplace menopause support for
Okay.
the NHS workforce.
Oh.
Um, so, recognizing that the impact of menopause and the symptoms on the workforce. So, it's intervention. Menopause support is intervention to support workforce well-being,
Mhm.
experience, And also, it comes through as a retention strategy
Mm,
because women over 50 are the largest growing workforce demographic. A woman that's going through perimenopause, menopause is typically somebody that's at the height of their career.
mm,
So it's looking to keep women in the workforce and keep them well and support them to be well, knowing that 3 in 5 women say that they are impacted by symptoms at work.
mm,
1 in 10 women will leave work as a result of menopause symptoms.
mm.
The cost to the UK economy of menopause symptoms and its effect on work is about 1.5 billion pound a year.
Oh, wow.
So the NHS is the largest employer in Europe with a workforce of 1.3 or thereabout million,
Mm,
and 75% of that workforce are women.
mm,
When we talk about menopause as it relates to women within our NHS workforce, we caveat that because we are aware that people of other gender expressions experience menopause. But on the whole, we would talk about women. So then when we look at the age range of
mhm,
women within the NHS workforce over the age of 40, that's about 38%. So
mm.
it's a significant part of the workforce that we need to support.
And good hands too, that you don't want living.
Absolutely. I mean, that's frontline, that's
Hmm.
behind the scenes, that's across the board.
Hmm.
Doctors, nurses, GPs, pharmacists, the whole 9 yards.
Awesome. Amazing. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Quickly, I come back to Dr. Shakes. Um, I know you touched on this that menopause is not a sudden thing that comes upon women, and how these two chefs who are packing up and are leaving the woman at some time to start to manage the body itself. You know, um, can you touch a bit on? I'm going to come back to Bookie in a bit, but I wanted to touch on HRT because it's often misunderstood. Can you help us just briefly separate facts from fear? I know I've not been using it, but help us a bit, Dr. Shakes.
All right, thank you for that. Do you know that's a very, very important question, and especially when one thinks of the target population, where we look at sort of propagating messages to underserved populations that can't see, seek high quality specialists to talk to and ask the necessary questions. They just soak up what's out there in the, should I say,
Dr.
just in
Google.
the general populace
Mm-hmm.
and in Dr. Google. Now, the fear around HRT just largely stems from a single study that was done, about more than 20 years ago, and that caused a lot of panic. And it's important to know that medicine has evolved greatly since then. Um, the fear then was that it significantly increases the risk of breast cancer and heart disease.
Mm-hmm.
And it's important to know that that risk that was seen then is more nuanced. So that risk of breast cancer and heart disease is more nuanced. The type of HRT that one uses matters. The dose of the HRT matters.
Right.
One's age matters, and the person's personal health history matters. For example, the risk of breast cancer with the modern body identical HRT is very small, and it's smaller than the risk associated with being overweight or drinking alcohol regularly. The fact there is that most healthy women under age 60 and who are within the 10 years or so of starting menopause, the benefits of HRT to relieve debilitating symptoms like hot flushes, which I think you were alluding to, night sweats, and brain fog. I'll say that word three times: brain fog, brain fog, brain fog. It far outweighs the risks. So, which is why HRT is not a dangerous drug. The way to look at it is it's a replacement for, what those chefs were making in the kitchen and bringing out, and you were happy to receive from puberty all the way through your fertility and all the way to menopause. It's just a replacement for what the body has stopped making, and it's still the most effective treatment we have for menopausal symptoms, and it also helps to protect your long-term health in
Mm.
terms of bone health, cardiovascular health, and indeed just your general well-being. So HRT, again, as much bad press as it might have had in the past,
Mm-hmm.
many millions of women are now using HRT and having good effect using it.
Amazing. Thank you for that, Dr. Shags. But one thing that I wanted to cycle back to that you mentioned, you said the type that you use also matters. Do you want to share with us the types that are available and how does a woman work with her care provider to recognize which one's most suitable for her at the point or the of the menopause journey?
So in terms of types, it's just important to know that so the main thing missing there is estrogen
Mm-hmm.
and progesterone. But in when we're adding it back, it is known as a progestogen. Now, that's those are the two things that needs to be added back. And in terms of how to add it back, because estrogen can cause the lining of the womb to thicken. So imagine what happens of in the first, should I say, 21 days of one cycle before the period comes. So that's what estrogen helps to do. So the reason why we support it with a progestogen is to ensure that we can get the lining of the womb to remain thin or to
Mm-hmm.
protect the lining of the womb, the endometrium.
Mm-hmm.
So those are the two drugs. Now it is just the differences you see in terms of the different kinds of drugs is broadly divided into how you administer the drugs. So
Mm-hmm.
it might be that you're taking tablets. It might be that you're using gels. So a gel that comes in like a measured pump that you take two pumps, four pumps, six pumps, and so on of the estrogen. It can be a patch, a skin patch that you put on your skin.
Mm-hmm.
And the progestogens are at least the commonest one now is a tablet known as utrogestan, and that tablet can also be taken in varied doses, 100 milligrams, 200 milligrams. But these are the kind of conversations you have. When I talked about individualizing care
That's
and
right.
personalizing care. So it's
Mm-hmm.
not, for example, oh, I've got a headache. Everybody knows you can just take two tablets of paracetamol. So far you're above 50 kilograms, it's fine to take two tablets of paracetamol, that sort of thing. No, this you need to have that conversation with your doctor, with your GP, with your
Mm-hmm.
gynecologist, and they'll be able to assess you. They'll be able to think through your symptoms and be able to advise you for about the appropriate thing for you to use. There might be people that you would have thought on paper they would be fine to use like the dermal patches, but
Right.
when you now speak closely to them, you now find there are those type of people that are very careful about the kind of soap they use or cream they use because they get very easily sensitive skin.
Right.
Now,
Right.
that sort of person, you wouldn't ask the person to have a patch that will most likely not stay on or will need to be peeled off because of itching or something. So, like I said, there's tablets, there's gels, there's skin patches, which can be used. Sometimes a different way of protecting the lining of the womb is to put a coil that produces progestogen inside the womb. So slowly releasing progestogen that protects the lining of the womb as well. Whilst it's not the major way of administering HRT, sometimes that is what is available to use.
All right. Thank you. Um. You talk about brain fog. I was checking. Lola, are you there? Hello?
Yeah, I'm here. Hi.
All right. Did you want to tell us um, a bit more about the work you do as a counselor with mental health and how this helps women, especially
Yeah.
in this season of peri-menopause or post-menopause? How has your work helped with intervention, or helping support women on their journey?
Well, basically, it's just to listen because a lot of women feel that they're going mad. A lot of women feel that there's something wrong with them. They feel it's surprising how it almost comes on suddenly and they don't know what's happening to themselves. So it's a confidential space where women and men, because some partners don't understand what's going on with their, wives or girlfriends. So it's a place where people come and just talk honestly about how they're feeling, about their symptoms, about this new phase in their lives, how they're becoming a different person. It's almost like their body's not their own. Things they could do health wise before they can't do. They're having pain in different parts of their bodies. So it's just a place to talk about holistically how they're feeling and find that support that, you're not going through it alone. There's, and just share that and not to be embarrassed or not feel any shame around it. And there's a whole thing about aging and facility and how they are as women. Am I still a woman? How do people perceive me? How does society perceive me?
Mm-hmm.
It's for them to just talk about all these feelings and these emotions that come along with it. But it is a lot about women thinking, is there something wrong with me?
Mm-hmm.
I know we spoke the other day about sensory overload, just being your brain feeling so full that you can't even think straight. Even as I've had a client talk about they can't even be on social media because it's just too much information. They can't listen to their audio Bibles. It's just too much information because they feel overwhelmed and they're like, is this a symptom of menopause?
Mm.
I read somewhere there's 150 symptoms of menopause and women can have any type. So it's just there's a space where people, women and men can just talk about how they feel and the impact it's having on their lives.
Mm.
And
Mm.
as he was talking about workplace and how, many workplaces are now bringing sort of menopause training and support for women and, encouraging women to go and speak to employer assistance schemes at work or speak to people like me, therapists, or even just speak to friends and just realize that you're not alone. And I think that's what gives the peace. That what brings the sort of contentment is that I'm not alone. I'm not going mad.
Mm.
And I encourage women a lot to see. There's a lot of content online. A lot of women are doing some fantastic content, and it's
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
connect and find out. Oh, this is what's going on with me. Because I find that's the biggest thing. Women don't know what's going on. They don't know how it all affects. And as the doctor was saying, all these different hormones depletion in the body is affecting you. So it's looking at holistically and how women feel about themselves and the new phase of their life. And encourage them to be compassionate with themselves. Just be compassionate. And it's not the end of life, it's just a new phase of life.
Yes, yes, yes. And that's quite important. Thank you for that. Thank you so much for that, Lola. It's a new phase and we just need to be more educated and informed about what I mean. I like the illustration that Dr. Sheg has used, about those two chefs who've been helping and now they're packing up. And so, and it's amazing how speaking to someone who's listening and who's not just judging you like, oh, why are you so slow now? Why are you not doing that? And that being empathetic, and listening, someone listening to you and helping you through, what you think is loony or that it's not quite right in your head. And then especially when you even talk to someone who's also going through, we're like, oh, okay. So it's not just me doing that, having this issue. This is really very funny. Recently I was having anxiety and it was really major. And I thought, okay, maybe because I was also in an unfamiliar environment, because I didn't know what was wrong with me. Everything was just like, I was going borderline paranoia about everything and everyone. And I was saying about 3-4 days ago, to a doctor friend of mine. I thought, this is the doctor. I'm sure that if I speak to her, she'll tell me how it's okay or something's actually wrong with me and all of that. So I was saying, that I went away recently to do some charity work abroad, and when I latch my hotel door, I will actually put a chair behind it and that's the only way I could go to sleep. I just had major, major panic and paranoia about things. And she said to me, I do that. And really? Oh, I thought I was turning to be a crazy woman is why I do that. Even when I was saying to my husband, like, this is what I'm doing. And he's like, why are you so? I'm like, I don't know. So sometimes something as little and as major as that can make a lot of difference. That, okay. And what I've also found with having conversation with other women who might be going through, who were sharing experiences, that also, like Dr. Sheks mentioned, is a thing. This journey is a personal one because women are using different things. You hear people hearing different. I've tried a few things, and it doesn't agree with me, so I stop. I'm like, okay, this is not working. I'm not using this anymore, and all of that. So having somewhere, a support system, a place, safe place to be able to go have this conversation, and knowing that you're not crazy and that what's happening to your body is a new thing, but it's not abnormal, if you like, even though it's not normal. It's not abnormal. It's comforting, and I really find that helpful usually. But I'll come to you, Wookie, quickly. You've worked closely with women in midlife years, and you're also doing stuff with NHS. What inspired your passion for helping women navigate menopause more confidently?
So I mean, I'm a pharmacist by background, so I've always worked in healthcare. I've worked in healthcare for what, nearly 40 years now. Um, and I guess you were there when we started this work, so you
Yes.
so I've worked within the pharmaceutical industry for many, many years.
Mhm.
And I took a step out just before COVID, actually, because I thought, you know what, I need to be working on purpose, what, for the rest of my life. What is it I want to do with the rest of my life? So I took time out to find out, okay, what is it that I can do? I knew I wanted to work in healthcare still, but somehow I engaged the services of an executive coach. She was
Right.
somebody she was somebody who stepped out of pharma, but she went into she was a medic, pharmaceutical medic, and we had worked quite closely together. So I knew her, I knew her pedigree, and she helped me, just distill. And we booked 3 sessions, and I remember after the second session, I had mapped out. Obviously, I'm a person of faith, so I pray as well.
Hmm.
But I had mapped out that I was going to work with women. I was going to work in healthcare. I was going to work with women, and I was going to work with midlife women, so women over 40. And so
Hmm.
that led my journey to. I thought, okay, I'm a pharmacist. I can counsel patients, but if I want to coach, I need to go and get a coaching certification. So I did that. Um, this will all happen back end of 2019. I went away for a long time. I was away for about 3, 4 months from pharma consulting. And then I came back February of 2020. And I thought, okay, I've cleared my head now. Let's go back and look for the pharma contracts. Of course, COVID hit. There were no pharma contracts. We were
Yeah.
all stuck indoors, minding our business.
Hmm.
And so that was when I, launched Vibrant Midlife. We were in that program together where I met you, and started coaching women.
Hmm.
But I remember then, because there were no contracts, I had no income. It
Hmm.
was really, really tough. And I
Hmm.
said I would remember, I would pray. I said, Lord, this work that you've given me to do now, I'm excited about it. I wish I could just do this work in the NHS. And honestly, my thinking was, how could I do this work with patients in
Hmm.
the
Hmm.
NHS?
Right.
But then I was approached. There was a national menopause program, and it was a case of, oh, we are looking for someone, and I just jumped at the opportunity. So I
That
had
was the
to, I
opportunity
know, right?
you've
I
been
jumped at
waiting
the
for.
opportunity. I had to leave her down, obviously, Vibrant Midlife a little bit. Still, and I remember over COVID, we ran monthly meetings. I covered all sorts of topics. We did all sorts of things. We did our launch. We did all sorts. And yeah, that's how I got into NHS England. And then that was the very start of the workforce package. In fact, the workforce package had one item. Now we've got about six items, and so yeah. And truly, when I sit within NHS England and sit, in various meetings, you see menopause out there is typically a white middle class situation. Even in our meetings and when we're there, you're speaking, you're whatever, and so in my head, I thought, okay, Vibrant Midlife, I need to just serve a particular community.
That's
And
right.
we talk about hard to reach, or we talk about underserved. Sometimes us ourselves, we have the issues
Oh yes.
because
Oh yes.
even when the thing comes to you in your in your nose, our people will not engage.
Yes. We
So
don't
that's
talk.
one of
We
the
don't
things that
want
I
to
want
talk.
to
Mhm.
cover. I want to stress that, we also, as a community, need to move towards the interventions. We need to move towards
Absolutely.
the information. We need to, especially when you have people that are you're like yourself, this platform, you bring quality, evidence-based resource
Thank you.
experts to your platform.
Mm.
Similarly, because of my background, I would not, speak or bring, I would
Hmm.
look for experts in their field to come and share with women. But we share, and sometimes people turn up, others sometimes they don't.
Oh, what
Doing
I've
what we're
learned with that.
doing.
Mhm. What I've learned with that, honestly, especially if it's a passion of yours, people turning up, not turning up. Initially, in the early days, used to discourage me, like, they don't want to engage and all of that. But now, honestly, I just overlook that. I'm still saying, okay, because this is something, it's not just, it's a passion, or it's also, I know that, okay, it can be demotivating, but I just look past all of the numbers and say, you know what? And because as a person of faith as well, like, this for me is an assignment. It's not just,
Yeah, so but
it,
Toyin, what it does is it's not about me. It's
mm-hmm,
them. When you hear that the 46-year-old woman just dropped dead, you're thinking, why?
mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I hear you. I hear you.
That is, I mean, like, why? Why is that happening in our
Mhm,
community? Or,
mhm.
we have all these, yeah, anyway.
Yeah, because we don't engage, we don't talk about these things. I mean,
Or we might spiritualize the thing.
yeah, everything we do,
We
we do
spiritualize
with
it.
no practical actions, to back. I mean, and even the scripture says that, show me your work and I'll show you your faith, isn't it? But we just go in one route and forget the other aspect of it. You
And the other thing I say is also priorities. You will see somebody post, you will post, for example, some medical content or something about, how you can look after your heart, or look, maybe somebody might look at it and think then somebody will come and post her cream cake, cupcakes.
that will get a lot of likes and following and all of the
And then
uh,
you
all of
will
the
see, you
engagement.
will see,
I
you will
hear
see
you.
the engagement, and you're thinking, please, God, help.
I hear you. I absolutely hear you. I hear you. And it's amazing. And thank you for the work that um you're doing through the NHS and also through Vibrant Midlife. And because honestly, especially the NHS one, at some point, I mean, that was really important. So I was on a contract with NHS, and I was leading three teams, you know.
Mm.
And after a while, brain fog set in, and I'll get in meetings, and I'll get in the middle of sentence. I can't remember what I'm trying to say, and I'm like, God, you know, and what is going on with me? But I started attend, and then I realized there's something called menopause clinic during lunch times, and I started going. I'm like, okay. And when I go to those clinics and I hear other women, sharing experiences, and I'm like, oh my God, it's not just me. And that was powerful. he empowered me so much. And I hope that that's still going on within the NHS, because that gave me confidence to, because I've done the work that I do. I mean, as a
Many, many, many
project
years.
person and being a delivery manager, working on projects and programs for many years. So, but I was beginning to lose confidence in, like, do I not know this work anymore? Am I not, able to do the job anymore? But I realized that going to those clinics, uh, even when I will start my meetings, maybe stand ups or all of them, like, just in case you gave me this update yesterday. So I put in disclaimer out there. This is my situation where, like, I am going through menopause. Please bear with me. And then people are more empathetic. And people, and those clinics did amazing things for me, honestly. I didn't want to miss them, because you go and then you go back to work knowing that, okay, confident, being bold, knowing that, okay, it's a new phase in your life, but you have to also communicate to people so that I understand what is happening to you, and then that way they're able to be a bit more empathetic and supportive, because you're still brilliant at your work. You still do what you do excellently well, and so I just wanted to say thank you for that, because for me, I know I benefited from those menopause clinics, whilst in the NHS, and it's an amazing thing, for women in midlife if you're going through menopause.
No, Lola said something. She said, we have to give our, I mean, she may not have used these words, but we as women also need to give ourselves grace. We need to know that, this is a change in at this point in of our lives. And so we need to do things differently. So for me, for example, I would never rely on my memory to go to a meeting. It can't happen. Never. Never. If it's not written down, don't tell me to memorize it. That was Bookie of then. This is Bookie
I
of
know,
now.
right?
So we'll write it down in a notebook. I might bullet point it, but just to give myself prompts. This is
Yeah,
just
yeah.
understanding what works for you, understanding that, we can't bring old habits into this new phase. We need to
Mm-hmm.
adjust.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, as you said, give yourself grace, communicate with others that this is what's going on. I mean, menopause support is happening within the NHS. It's not, I can't put my hand on heart and say it's brilliant across the board, but we're moving the needle and we're
Mm-hmm.
getting there.
Amazing.
I just say, Bookie, I love what you said about, you finding the strategies that work for you.
Yeah.
You have to do new things, because now I don't even use it. I've got the diary, I've got the mobile phone, I've got alarms for literally everything.
Enough.
Forget. So you need to find, and the thing is, when you hear people say, "Oh, I need to use this," it is finding new ways to do things just to help yourself through. And
Mm-hmm.
there are lots of things out there that you could do. And there's a lot of information out there that women can use
Mm-hmm.
to put things in practice that work for them.
Mm-hmm.
So I love what you just said. Thank you.
Thank you.
I think just to jump in, it's
Yeah.
a difficult one jumping in women's affairs sometimes. But I
That's
think
the
that's
text.
I think that's the thing. It's conversations like this, from intelligent, successful ladies like yourself, being unafraid to share, all of these tips that you are talking about. This, brain fog, this forgetfulness. Like I said, the brain fog is probably the main one. It's the one that drives, really intelligent, successful women away from work, sort of as they're approaching their 50s, 55. They just leave thinking, you know what, I'm no good at this anymore.
Mm,
But these coping strategies, just saying it out loud, it being recorded somewhere, someone else hearing it and
mhm.
propagating it, knowing, almost normalizing it.
Yep.
So there's no need to be standing opposite that 42-year-old guy who has memorized everything, coming off looking like his
I'm feeling
presentation is tip
incompetent.
top. Do you see it? And he's looking all competent and everything. And while you're now like looking down
Sweating.
at your notes, you're now,
Really
and that's the
sweaty.
thing. It's just to find those new ways and carry it off with the tact
Mm-hmm.
that your experience already has. Again, it's just to keep stressing that it's totally normal, it's totally natural, and it's important that once it's talked about, it can be talked about all the way till people start to look at you and just wonder like, who's this archaic human being who doesn't understand that it's okay to consult your phone and check your
Mm-hmm.
should I say your points, your talking points as you're speaking.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay to use a teleprompter. It's okay. Do you see my meaning?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, again, it's just kudos to you all. You've just one of the main things I was going to just keep stressing and stressing
Mm-hmm.
about is that brain fog.
Mm-hmm.
And hopefully, if people see ladies like yourself, you represent a community.
Mm-hmm.
That community usually does not want to speak out. They are worried. I can understand. They are worried about different things. They're worried about once someone sees me using the prompt, will they think I don't know my job anymore?
Mm-hmm.
They are
The
protecting.
signal.
They are trying to work at their level and maybe times a little bit just to seem to prove that they are meant to be at that level.
Mm.
There's the added pressure that they are a woman, they are of color, and so on. So, but so far we keep talking about it, and so far we allow people to understand that look, the info is out there.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't stick with a specific tribe. It doesn't stick with a specific color or faith.
Mm.
Then I think hopefully people will become more confident in being able to just behave as they need to behave because of the menopause.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Thank you for that, Dr. Shakes. Thank you so much for that. And before before I bring you back, because I want to ask a few questions around HRT again, but I want us to get into some of the symptoms. I know there's a lot of different women have different symptoms, but this is for you, Bouquet. Because you've worked closely with women in midlife. In your experience, what is the most, well, maybe a list of three or five most common one that women um misunderstand or just ignore, you know, in early in maybe early in perimenopause, maybe to start with.
So, I mean, I can't say symptoms that women ignore. What I would say is that women of a certain age engage with this information, understand the various symptoms that can occur,
Mm-hmm,
physical symptoms, the psychological symptoms, the
mm-hmm,
genitourinary symptoms,
mm-hmm,
that when you start to experience those changes,
mm-hmm.
you can connect it to perimenopause. What I find is that women are disconnected from the information, so
Right.
that when these things start to happen,
They
they
have no
they
clue.
can't join the dots.
Mm, mm.
That's why a passion of mine is not is because you get younger women think, oh, it's men
Far away. I
far
hear you.
away. I don't need to be worrying about that. Actually, the younger you are and the younger you onboard the information and
Mm-hmm.
understand what's going on, then when it starts to happen, so typically people talk about hot flushes, but menopause is
You're not flushes. Absolutely.
way beyond hot flushes. Some of the things that affect work, we've talked about labored on, you
Mm-hmm.
know, brain fog isn't actually a medical term. It's just a coin that's joined together. Lack of focus,
Lack of focus, yeah.
limited concentration, poor sleep, because if you don't sleep properly, it's going to impact your thinking,
Yeah.
and
And
your
for
productivity at work the next day.
yeah, yeah.
Memory lapses. You spoke about anxiety. These impact women at work. That loss of confidence as well.
Mm.
Again, irritability can impact your relationships in the workplace, relationships in the family,
Mm-hmm.
relationships at home. So these kind of things I tell you a symptom that I had, that
Mm-hmm.
if I hadn't, you know, was my gut. So I used to drink lattes and all the cappuccinos. I just noticed that at some point I just could not tolerate this thing any longer.
Right.
So I quickly removed. Then I was actually in Lagos, because
Mm-hmm.
this is when my whole situation started. I had to remove. Then subsequently, apart from remove the milk and the lactose and all of that situation, the gut issues I had were just incredible. How did I navigate myself? I just had to adjust diet.
Diet. That's a key. That's a very important thing. We're going to get to that, okay? And I'm
Yeah.
going to let you help us with a bit of nutrition and lifestyle. That's really important if you're in that midlife and if you're in that stage of.
So yeah, there are, to Lola's point where she talked about that overwhelm. I cannot stand loud noise.
Same here.
I
I am
cannot
jumping at
stand.
honking. I
Do
am
not
jumping
be
at cars honking.
shouting near me. I can't. Yeah. Or, big crowds of people. I can't, it's no, so these are the things, but it's understanding, at least use a symptom checker
Yeah.
to get women should just use a symptom checker to
Mhm.
get a clue of what are the so-called symptoms of the perimenopause, of the menopause, so that when these things start to happen beyond hot flushes, beyond irregular periods, etc., you then can join the dots.
Yeah. Thank you for that. And thank you for highlighting the symptom checker. Please, let's use that. It's really important. And to be honest, well, I thought I knew a few of the symptoms. So when anxiety started for me, I didn't I didn't
Connect.
kind of connect it to menopause. I just thought, what's wrong with me? And prior to that, of course, I wasn't sleeping well at night. So I was having lots of headaches. So I'm thinking, why is this? So I spoke to my doctor for a night. There's something wrong with me. I'm just this headaches that's not going away and whatnot and whatnot. And of course, because I'm a coffee lover, and he said, I know you. Have you been? I'm like, yeah, I'm having my cup of coffee every day morning. Like, lay off coffee for a bit, lay off Coca-Cola for a bit.
Mm-hmm.
And amazingly, after like 2 days, I wasn't having that and headache anymore. I was like, oh my God, the simple things of life. But I didn't even connect my anxiety to Dr. You need to help me today. I don't even know if I'm in perimenopause or I've done the whole 9 years of the menopause now because of induced menopause hysterectomy. But seriously, for me, anxiety was a new thing. Also, I like something that Lola said, and you also mentioned about giving yourself grace in this new season because if you're someone like me who will have their hand in a lot of pie, doing a lot of things, always go, 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 doing. And then I started feeling very inadequate when some of these things I'm not doing. And I'm also someone who, I'm not a perfectionist, but I like things done in a certain way. I like excellence, and when it's not done that, I started feeling like, oh my God, something's wrong with me. I'm losing it. I am not this, I'm not that. In fact, recently, someone saw me, who hasn't seen me maybe for about 2 years. I went abroad and she said, you look different. I'm like, what do you mean different? And she said, you're that woman that I know. Your makeup is on point. Your wig is, you're doing that. You're like, your nails are like, but I just went to her when I was going for a meeting and I couldn't be bothered to put on a wig. So I just had my Ken roll and I just went. She was like, I've never seen you like this. I'm like, well, welcome to my new era.
I don't give two hoots.
I really don't. So I'm prioritized now. I'm
Yeah,
not.
exactly.
I'm
Yeah.
not about. And so for me, whilst I was abroad, because I definitely think because it was an unfamiliar environment, increased my anxiety. I was saying to my husband recently, and he was laughing at me because I was coming back home. I missed my connecting flight, and in Schiphol Airport, I was trying to find my way for about an hour and a half. After a while, I was frustrated. I sat down on the chair and I cried because I was overwhelmed. I was like, what is this nonsense? And I cried. In
No,
the
but
middle of the airport, I
Schiphol
sat
is
down on the chair
Schiphol is crazy. Schiphol
and
is
I cried. And I'm like,
crazy.
what
Schiphol
is
is a
going on with
crazy
me? I can't
airport.
even find my gates.
Oh my God. That's why I fly one way, one direct.
Oh,
Otherwise,
it's the best. It's the best. No hassles of trying to
Oh, I
find
make
break.
sure I give it big space so that I don't have time pressure.
You know, oh no, honestly, the honks is a new thing for me even now. I thought it was the issue of Nigeria and honking and all of that. Everyone's just honking like it's a competition, and I used to just jump, 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 jump. But when I got back home, even if the guy behind me is honking, I'm like, why are you honking? What's the
Noise.
problem? What's the problem? For a long time, I haven't been watching TV because I feel overwhelmed. They're like all of this, many, many, many things and information, and you know what? Shut this thing down. Shut this thing down. And so like you said earlier on, it's giving ourselves grace in this new season and prioritizing. Now, a friend of mine, I turned 50 recently, a friend of mine sent me a message, but the thing, and she said, at this age, we maintain our steez. Steez is a Nigerian slang about you don't even you mind your business and you do things according to the capacity that you have at that point in time. So I realized honestly it's about prioritizing and giving myself grace. And if I can't do this now, I prioritize. Is it urgent? Will someone
Right?
lose their life if it doesn't get done right away? Because I used to be that person. Let's do it now. Let's get on with it. Let's finish it. Now it's about prioritizing, giving myself grace to say, okay, And another thing that's been happening to me recently is tiredness. I can't even lie. My bed now is past my bedtime. Bedtime is 7:30. You know, a young friend of mine, she's been trying to reach me for a while, and then every time she calls me, around, back in the days, my phone goes to sleep at 9:30. But she said, "Oh, and sis, I know your phone goes to sleep at 9:30. I've been trying to call you since 7 o'clock." I'm like, I was in bed. I was. Why you sleeping at 7 o'clock? I said, because I'm tired. So I go to sleep. Honestly, symptoms vary. It varies, and we have to be clued on. And what Buki said about symptoms checker, we need to be on that thing and knowing that some of these things, is attributed to perimenopause, or if you're in menopause already, and knowing how to tackle it and making sure that we know what to do. And with all of the many, many, many symptoms, everyone is different. Find what works for you. I have a girlfriend who swears by ashwagandha. When I tried that thing, the migraine that I used to have, I'm like, I'm not touching this thing. There's this other one, which was that one that we were talking about, moringa.
Yeah, I use moringa. Yeah,
I'm
I love moringa. But the thing is, as you said, different things work for different people.
Absolutely.
You just need to find what works for you and not compare yourself with anyone.
Mm-hmm.
And you said something about taking it easy. Just give yourself grace. Just do. If before I would do 6 things in a day, if I can do 2, I'm happy.
It's a successful day.
And as you said, Bookie, I give myself time in between. I don't overwhelm myself. It's just like do what works for you and don't feel shame, don't feel judged. Do what works for you because it's a different area. You're just learning about yourself in a new way.
Yeah. The
or you're phoning my phone during the working day. What are we chatting about? What exactly are we talking about during the working day? No. Just go to voicemail for the moment.
I've taken to having naps when I'm working from home. I have a nap in the afternoon.
Have a nap in the afternoon. I like
30
that.
to 40 minutes, and then I'm ready. I'm good to go because I get tired. I get overwhelmed, and I get like there's so many things to do, and I work with 2 screens. I'm just like, no, I need to stop. And it's just I don't even feel bad about it. I'll just go lie down, get up. 40 minutes later, back to work again, and it works for me. It makes me productive.
Yeah. If you go out for a walk quick, brisk walk again, I know it's using energy, but you find that you're refreshed. It refreshes you if you get outside and your brain is taking a break from everything else that's going on. So yeah, just different things for different people. But
Yeah.
women now, they want to do and be the most. There is no need. No need. No need.
Yourself out, you will. You'll just suffer burnout because you're trying to do things the way you did them before, and your
Mm-hmm.
body's telling you no.
Yeah.
Body's,
Mm-hmm.
how you said it's the shutting down. It's saying, I don't think so, not today.
Mm-hmm.
Not
You
today.
need to do something different, and it's just like you need to understand that. I learned the hard way. I was pushing myself. And it's like, look, no, your body cannot do it. Your body's saying a different thing.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Cortisol, whether it's the estrogen, whatever it is, whether it's the thyroid, I had to realize that my body is working against me, but I need to find the best way to make
Yes,
it for
but
me.
yes, yes, to make you work for you. Since the two chefs packed up, Dr. Tex.
Oh Lord.
Absolutely is finding how to tackle your own symptoms, and also I can't even overemphasize this: giving yourself grace and making sure you're not doing too much and overdoing things and breaking down and just unnecessarily being overwhelmed. There's a lot going on already with with all the symptoms and all the things that your body is the changes that your body is going through, to now add extra stuff to it you know thank you for that, Lola. So I'll come back to you, okay, quickly. um Actually, before I come back to you, Bouquet, before I start to ask about nutrition and what kind of food your experience you know can help women go out in this season. um I know a lot of people. Okay, let's address one of the symptoms, which is the hot flushes, hot and cold, cold, and feeling hot, feeling cold, and everyone's thinking, are you okay? You were just saying you were cold now, and now you're trying to remove layers, and you're saying you're hot. You are the reason why we opened all the windows, and now you're saying, give me the blanket. You know, I don't know if anyone's got either of you's had that experience. You know, share something around your hot flushes or your own symptoms that any symptom that you like, any symptoms experience that you like to share.
So, I mean, I had a situation which was, I talked about my gut.
Mhm.
Obviously, hair, you know how we lose our hair. I just lost a whole lot of
Love.
edges. But no, but having said that, my edges are now they're now healthy. So
Again.
that's good. Because what I learned to do was just leave the hair alone. Don't add anything to it. Just leave it be and it will be, don't all those stressful styles. No, 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 no.
Even the hair wants a break.
The
At
hair,
the
yeah,
body.
so I gave it a break, and it's my hair's natural anyway, so yeah, it's
Mhm.
and the edges they've come back. Then the other thing was joint pain. So especially the shoulder pain.
Mm.
That one was one that I didn't even, again, didn't connect, but
Mm.
when I did, and funny enough, what resolved my joint pain was exercise. So I used to do the stretching. Initially it was really, really painful,
Mm.
but I just had to push past the stretch, and and with the stretching I was able to obviously work the joints and loosen them up.
Right.
Having said that, just yesterday I woke up and it was like, "Ah, what's this one again?" So as you think you've managed it, and then all of a sudden you see
It
it come
crops
back.
up
But
from
yeah,
somewhere.
those I mean, in terms of flushes, I had flushes when I was in Lagos, so that was it was a totally, you would walk into air conditioning with sweat on you, and you know how Lagos people, Madam, are you okay? I'm like,
You
yeah,
okay?
I'm okay, I'm okay, I'm okay, I'm okay. But yeah, it's just wearing the right fabrics. But I know with here in winter, it can be difficult, because you can't be wearing linen in the winter.
Mm-hmm.
You'll freeze or catch a cold or something. So it's
Mm-hmm.
just having that balance. Sometimes the heating is too high, and it's just finding what works, finding an area in the room, or having a fan,
Mm-hmm.
um, having cold water. There are these fans now that blow like ACs. So, you just got to
Mm,
and wear layers so that you can take things off.
mm, so talking about even wearing layers, one thing I learned quickly in this hot flushes era of menopause, because I used to be that woman who everything is thermal. You know, in the winter, I'm wearing thermal top, I'm wearing thermal
Mhm.
top, bottom, and I'm
Mhm.
putting everything over it. I don't bother with thermal anymore. I
Okay.
just make sure that I have nicely dressed with my proper warm jacket. And once jacket goes off quickly first, once I started to feel the
Hot.
uh,
Uh-huh.
heat, and then when I start feeling cold, I can be indoors and like, can I please have my jacket on or my scarf? Sometimes I have this scarf and I'm like, okay, this will keep my neck warm and all of that. So no more thermals really for a bit. I'm just going to, so it's just finding what works, honestly. And it's really, really important to be able to,
Yeah. There's
uh,
a lady that came, she works with herbs. She works with menopausal women
okay.
and she works with herbs. She came to speak on one of the Vibrant Midlife sessions that we had. She talked about sage tea. She talked about sage as the herb and
Mm-hmm.
steeping it and drinking that. Apparently, it helps with flushes. Again, she mentioned it. I think she's a medical. She calls herself a medical herbalist. So they have a directory and they have obviously there's the evidence on these things is a bit. It's not there, but
Mm-hmm.
again, it's a case of you can get sage leaves from the grocer. Try them and see if it helps.
Absolutely. And honestly, on this journey, it's trial and error, seeing what works for you. Because, like I said earlier, some people swear by this ashwagandha. Some people say, "Oh, moringa." A friend of mine sent me this bottle of moringa capsule that I don't know where she bought it from. Maybe all in the bar. Like, this thing's amazing. It's working for me. I'm like, I'm not touching that thing because in the past I've tried moringa tea.
Moringa, I nearly it dropped my blood pressure. I nearly died one time. I took it, and ever since then I just thought.
Same. I said, I'm not touching that
But
thing.
one I do use, I use lion's mane. Lola, have you heard of you've heard of lion's mane? I use lion's brain for focus, and I find that not only does it help my focus, it actually helps my energy as well.
Mm,
Yeah. So that one I have tried. I read up on it. I tried it, and it works with it. It works for me.
mm. Amazing. And there's something else I wanted to ask Dr. Shite. I want you to come in here because can you overdose on magnesium? Because I started doing this magnesium thing where oh, every night, I'm taking this magnesium and my vitamin D and whatnot. And in the morning, I had this perimenopause capsule that I bought from Holland Bar that I will take. And while I was abroad, so I was continuing this routine of my what's it called, magnesium and this supplement, perimenopause supplement. And then I'll find out that in the evenings I will have withdrawal symptoms that someone who's been on drugs and then who then is having withdrawal, I will be like shaking. I'm like, okay, something's wrong. So I totally packed up the magnesium and the supplement. Like, I'm not taking all of this anymore. I could not come and, lose my life in this Africa that I have come to, So, but the question I wanted to ask is magnesium. Dr. Shah, can you overdose on that thing? Is it possible to say, oh, you have too much magnesium in your system? Because I used to take that thing religiously every night because it used to help me to sleep because I was always tired.
Honestly, most some of these medications, you know how sometimes the drug itself, I'll use iron. Iron is a common one.
Mm.
Now, iron tablets, you can take iron tablets in the real sort of treatment of it for some like ferrous sulfate. They will tell you that there's 200 milligrams of ferrous sulfate. Within it, it's probably elemental iron of something like, I don't know, like 33 milligrams of that 200. Sometimes when some of these medications are being sold, they will call it a name, but
Mm-hmm.
if you look inside, it is possibly like maybe, you know, 0.1 of a percent of what the drug itself, if it is sold for medical purposes, would be. It can be difficult because when one isn't, if it isn't something that is controlled, then very easily, if you're using one type of multivitamin that says it's got magnesium. Supposing they put what is the allowable maximum amount
Mm-hmm.
for something that can be obtained without a prescription, but you're now combining it with different other medications. So
Right.
yes, very easily you might then have too much
Negative effect.
magnesium. Of course, with magnesium, there can be magnesium toxicity. With magnesium toxicity, it is possible that it will cause you to have depressed respiration, so your rate is less.
Oh
It can
wow.
also cause you not to pass urine effectively.
Oh wow.
So yeah, it can be quite a dangerous drug. So we use it when we're treating women that we worry might have an eclamptic fit. So
Right.
we use it in preeclampsia as part of the regimen to protect the brain, to almost like a neuroprotectant,
Oh
both
wow.
for a very young baby, so very preterm baby, or for mom to just stabilize her cerebrum, and that way she doesn't fit. It
Mm-hmm.
also just assists with lowering the blood pressure. It's not primarily for that, but it helps with that as well.
This is IV.
So that's why, when one takes some of these medications,
Mm-hmm.
it's the doctors, they struggle because there isn't like any chapter, as even our pharmacists will attest to. We don't usually sit as a particular sort of like do the pharmacology of some of these herbal preparations.
Right.
Even one that is quite commonly known, like marijuana, for example, that is being legalized in different places. There are different kinds of THCs and the oils and
CBD.
and the
Mm-hmm.
strengths and all these kind of things. It's not something that at least doctors and pharmacists of a certain sort of generation were ever taught. Maybe now someone has structured a curriculum that starts to think of these things. It's just, again, sometimes the proliferation of all these other alternatives
Mm-hmm.
is just because of the bad press that HRT had all this while.
Mm-hmm.
And it's always a strange one when you see a woman not afraid at all to just grab some mix that she doesn't know what day it was mixed, in what kind of water, what sort of alcohol was used to mix it. But they are happy to drink that over taking, a regulated pump of the estrogen that they need itself.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of medicines that people are using, um, that's just the thing. With these medications, it's very difficult, very, very difficult to really study them because we don't usually know the doses, we don't usually know when they should take it, for how long they should take it, and so on and so on. Um, but at the end of the day, to help with the hot flushes, it's
Mm-hmm.
some things that some African women or maybe Nigerian women would not really like to hear. So it's reducing spicy foods, of course, reducing caffeine, and then reducing alcohol. So that's something that you can do with your diet that can help
Mm-hmm.
with the hot flushes. Of
Thank
course, the
you. Mm-hmm.
generality of it all is there's exercise there, there's good sleep and good sleep habits. And for me, I'm here to also encourage you to try the HRT. Try the HRT. Speak to someone.
HRT conversation, Dr. Shek, because I'm not
Yeah,
letting it go tonight. We have to talk
speak
about
to.
this because even I'm not using HRT. I can't even.
Yeah, and that's the thing. That's the thing. It's because of the bad press around it. So, and I can understand being stoic to say, you know what, the symptoms, I'll just carry on and manage these symptoms.
Mm-hmm.
But I think if for nothing, whilst it's not an encouragement to run towards the HRT
Mm-hmm.
only, it's just for you to just be aware and keep spreading it that it's actually safe, and it's just always important that a conversation is had around who it is safe for and what are the safety parameters for any one person.
Mm-hmm.
There are things you can take over the counter. It's just they don't have very strong, continued proven, should I say, effects in many people,
Mm-hmm.
which is the reason why it's probably not a drug yet. If As soon as dogoyaro leaves becomes a tested and trusted
Anti-malaria.
treatment, then you'll find it all being grown in farms, in farms in the US and in China and things.
I just wanted to say, whilst we are on this
Yeah.
alternative thing,
Yeah.
there's something here in the UK called it's called the THR. It's the Traditional Herbal Register.
EHR.
So drugs are registered by like drugs in the UK are registered by the MHRA, so the regulatory authority that registers medicines.
Mm.
This particular registry it's a register of herbal products,
Okay.
and they have a mark. So if you see a herbal product with a THR mark, at least you know that it's one that's been through some form of regulatory license. It meets
Okay.
a certain standard, and you know if there are any women's health products or any menopausal products that fall within that range, at least you know that it's been through some rigorous some form of check. Um,
Hmm.
so there
Amazing.
are some preparations. I think there's a range by a company called Dr. Vogel.
Dr. Vogel.
Yeah, I think their products are have to have a THR mark, and they do have some women's health products.
Hmm. Okay.
Can I,
Thank you for
sorry,
the recommendation. You're the pharmacist.
can I
Sorry,
just ask
Lola?
about HRT side effects? Because I've had women say, "Oh, what are the side effects of HRT?"
Mm.
Dr. Sheggs, can you help us out?
The HRT advocates.
So, so I think first things first is in taking the HRT, the some of the commonest side effects is usually in the particular one that one is using. You remember I was talking about things like the dermal patches, the skin patches. Some people might complain of a local irritation there. Sometimes even using the gel, same thing too. People might complain about some form of irritation in the area. If it's the coil, people might complain that they have like some irregular spotting every day or a brownish discharge. If, for example, they have the coil, which I'll mention the commonest trade name, Mirena coil.
Hmm.
Then, if it's the tablets, some people will just experience, be it a bit of headache. Some people will talk about retaining water.
Voting.
They'll talk about weight gain even. Um, it's then the general thing that can happen with any sort of tablets we take, which is nausea, vomiting, can also occur with them. In terms of what it can cause with the menstruation, it can cause some irregularity to periods. Irregularity in the terms of someone that is already used to having like periods every 3 or 4 months as things are winding down. That person will suddenly start getting some sort of irregular bleed. In between, 2 weeks later, there's a bleed again, and it will feel like a period. You have to remember those chefs. Those chefs, every once in a while, they just go like, "Oh, I think I need to fill an order," and then they churn out some more of this estrogen, but you've taken some, and
Yeah.
so on. So that those imbalances can be quite distressing for some women, because nobody wants to have to use sanitary products, multiple times in any 1 month. So I would say for me, I would say that's the main one. And then when you are now classed as as post-menopause, so you remember 12 months no bleed, you're
Hmm.
using these tablets. It's been helping your skin, your hair. Vaginal dryness isn't too much of an issue anymore, or an issue even at that stage. Then suddenly you now have a bleed, and it's all that hassle of reporting a postmenopausal bleed,
Hmm.
needing to see a doctor very quickly,
Secondary
needing to
care.
have an ultrasound scan to make sure
Mhm.
the lining of the womb isn't too thick,
Right.
and you might still require a biopsy,
Mm.
and all of just the stress and the discomfort and sadly the pain that can come with all of that. One can't hide away from it. You can ascribe it to HRT. The thing is, if guidelines are rewritten in such a way where, as we are recognizing it more and more,
Mm.
that kind of breakthrough bleed can happen, rather than immediately think, oh my goodness, postmenopausal bleed, which of course, in someone who's not having any HRT, is
Mhm.
like in their 70s, it's not unusual that that can be a symptom of endometrial cancer, which is the reason why we have to chase it down anytime it is reported.
Right.
Um, so again, if guidelines are written so that we're able to understand that these things happen, it is still part of the questioning around it should help us, delineate women that have, ha- for example, are diabetic, have a high BMI. Now, I'm just painting a picture of people that have a higher risk factor to develop endometrial cancer in any way, in any case, rather. So who knows? Maybe if these guidelines are better streamlined, then we might just cut out a big section of women that don't need to have anything extra per se done. Maybe a scan and that's about it. When they are using HRT, it will help with the press for HRT as well, when some of these negative connotations aren't attached to HRT.
Mm. Uh, Interesting. Thank you for that, Dr. Shakes. And also, what other question that I wanted to ask around this HRT is um to for any even to even start intervention. Honestly, first of all, let's get from there to start intervention for your perimenopausal or whatever stage you are on the journey of menopause. How do you would suggest that okay, you just go to how would you suggest like a lady, a woman who's got all of symptoms start? You go to your GP and you say, oh, I have all of these symptoms. And do you recommend like a blood that like blood work to be able to determine what hormone is where and what and then how do you come up with recommendations for what the woman might need if it's a patch or what which of the HRT they might be needing to start to thrive in
Mm.
the
The so in terms of you know I was listening to the three of you speaking, and I was listening to the symptoms you were highlighting,
Mhm.
and at the end of the day, very occasionally our body tells us something. We're able to stop still enough in these busy lives we all lead, and to just recognize that my body is telling me something, and I want to it could be like Buki said, considering using like a symptom checker. We're lucky we live in the United Kingdom, and some of these things you can easily go on NHS choices, read a little bit about your symptoms, read about what you suspect might be happening, and some of these things will provide you with at least a guide. Of course, they will caveat it by saying speak to your GP, speak to your medical practitioner, and that could be the first point of call. So, UK wide, it would be you're ringing your GP to just check some of these symptoms. It might
Mhm.
be a telephone consultation you're able to get. It might be that you go in face to face to see them, but you would state some of these symptoms, and it might be that that's when you get your diagnosis, or that's when you get an inkling of the diagnosis. Um, the important thing following on from that is to then self-reassess as to, so what do I want to do?
Okay.
Now I know. Sometimes the way human brain works is different for everybody. There are some people that just want to know that, oh, you know what, I'm not going crazy. It is because of this. Oh, okay, fine. If it's that, then you know what, I've already started forming my style. Now I have my keys near the in the key jar somewhere. I've got. Do you
Looking
see
for
my meaning?
my word.
I've got the alarms all over the house and everything. And so it might just be that the person just feels that they are coping with everyday life and they don't want or need any intervention, which is
Mm.
fair enough. It is also possible that it might be for something that might not be commonly talked about, but it is very common, and I suspect people still seek help for it. Is that vaginal dryness and how it affects sexuality
Mhm.
and just the ability to engage in intercourse. And whilst there are over-the-counter things like lubricants that people can use,
Yep.
sometimes it just takes away from the spontaneity of being able to engage in intercourse. And
Say,
other
you
times,
put the
other
lubricant
times it
everywhere.
is.
You put it in the drawer, you put it by the bedside.
Yeah, then other times it is just the fact that there are local estrogen creams and
Mm,
tablets that can be offered that
right.
can also help with vaginal dryness. So like I said, it depends on why someone is going. I've seen people come through, and their biggest worry was the skin changes, their hair loss. Whilst it's not like you can give them a medicine to give us like 30
Hair
something
back.
year old skin or give us all our hair back.
Bookie said she left
But
the hair alone. The hair is great, so she
but
left it
but
alone.
sometimes being able to go on this HRT can start to help, because you remember that's the work that estrogen was doing anyway, and it's just because these chefs they've retired and gone. That's why.
So, Dr. Shakes, thank you so much. I want to talk for the women
Okay.
and say I because I actually highlight, especially for when I speak with women, I highlight some tips to have a productive appointment when you go to the GP.
Mm,
Again, preparation is so key.
mm,
So it's understanding the basics of menopause, understanding the basics just generally, and how it relates to you personally. Typically, you talked about tests. Typically, a woman over 45,
mm-hmm,
menopause is diagnosed by symptoms.
mm,
That's why it's important for you to track your symptoms.
right.
So that when you go to, and then when you book your appointment, even, is to ask, is there somebody in the practice that specializes in women's health?
Okay.
That's step one, and possibly specializes in menopause, step two,
Mm,
or, locally.
mm-hmm,
Then sometimes it might be useful to ask for a double appointment.
right.
The issues that we have come with might not be, we can't discuss it in that
Oh,
10-minute appointment.
yeah, and they only have 10 minutes slot, and they want you to take.
Absolutely. So you can, these are some of the negotiations. And then when you have the information, so Dr. Sheggs talked about sometimes you have the conversation, the
Mm,
doctor you exchange. It's actually helpful to not have a decision as to how to progress there and then. Take time out, assess
mm-hmm,
everything that has been discussed, i.e., you've discussed, he's doctors discussed, and then come back and say, okay, you know what? I've thought about it, I've read about it, I've consulted with whoever I need to consult with, and I think this is the way I want to go next.
yeah.
The other thing is if you're being dismissed,
Mm-hmm.
this is why preparation is key.
Hey, absolutely.
If you're being dismissed,
Mm-hmm.
stand your ground. If this doctor, with
Push.
respect, I don't feel that I have the answer I want, can I be referred or can I see somebody different?
Mm,
That's i.e. advocate for yourself,
mm. Yeah.
but you can't advocate from emptiness. You need to advocate from knowledge. So
No.
arm yourself with right evidence-based knowledge,
Mm.
going into that appointment.
Absolutely, absolutely, and thank you for highlighting that. Recently, I was saying so. I was experiencing now. I have a note in my phone where I put down things that's questions that I'm going to my appointment with.
Mm-hmm.
I was showing to my husband, and I say, "Are you not overdoing?" I say, "It's not overdoing because the stage where I'm in now. Number one, if I don't, when I get there, I might forget, and then secondly, is that I don't want to even get everything confused. So
Yeah.
I have my notes prepared as I'm going to my GP to my appointment. I have everything I want to ask
And
you.
time is precious, so you need to make the best use of it.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. I have all the questions that I want to ask you. I want to tell you all the symptoms I've been having,
Mm-hmm.
and you need to be helping me to understand what my next step will be. And I'm not letting you push back on anything. And thank you for saying we might need more than one. one appointment to be able to go through,
Yeah.
the intervention that we might require, and then come back and say, okay, all of the things you said the last time, I've gone through it, I've read some things up. These are the things that I'm looking to.
And I think we want to go this way. I want to go this
I
way.
want to do this, I want to do that, and then get some feedback. Absolutely. It's really important, especially in this season, to make sure that you're organized. You have all your.
Also to say, find out what is available at work, because at work,
Mhm,
depending on where you work, there
mhm,
might be. I know that some of the workplaces now, they're instituting menopause support. Where you can actually talk to a menopause doctor via the medical scheme or whatever. So it might well be that you can actually not have to wait so long for an NHS appointment. You
mhm.
might be able to access something via your work scheme. So again, but if we don't find out what is going on, we don't
Yeah,
know what's going on at work, we don't know what's in the policy, we don't know the support that's available, we are none the wiser.
absolutely, absolutely. So we need to be asking questions, especially in the workplace now that is becoming a more there's more awareness, around menopause and interventions and helping women. So
There
let's
are
ask the.
lots of, yeah, there are lots of, I mean, people in private sector that,
Mhm,
they have these apps, they have these workplace schemes they've developed that they
mhm,
sell into corporates,
mhm,
and corporates buy them, to support their people. So it's just understanding what's available for me at work as well, because
mhm.
that might be a way to get quick access.
Amazing. Thank you for that. I'll come back to you in a moment, and then we'll talk about food and lifestyle and what kind of food women on this journey should be eating more of, and lifestyle. But in the meantime, Lola, I want to come to you quickly. um so with some of this menopausal symptom, you know menopause can trigger things like anxiety that we've talked about, mood swings, and all kind of things. So as a counselor, you
Hmm.
know how is counseling and support and therapy, sorry, able to support women, on this journey? And what's the link between hormonal shifts and mental well-being, and how can you as a counselor, help women that would discover themselves during this phase and just help them on this journey to thrive?
The thing is, it's almost like it's a fine line between, we talk about hormonal, you know, anxiety and just general mental health, just general anxiety for life. I
Hmm.
think the way in my practice, it just treat it all as anxiety. What are you anxious about? What is going on? What's your feeling? And
Hmm.
I think you said something earlier about when you realized you had. We spoke about this before as well when we spoke privately.
Hmm.
You know, just general feeling of anxiety. I think that's a symptom that lots of women do not believe is there. They don't think it's a thing.
Okay.
First in the morning, you wake up in anxiety. First thing in the morning, you have this low mood come upon you, you're starting worrying. I didn't know it was a thing to do with menopause, menopause until I did my research, because I was thinking, what is going on for me? Because it's not how I am. And then when I found that out, it was almost like it was every day. It wouldn't shift. It's there every morning, every morning, every morning. And then I found out as well that I had a low thyroid, which was another thing, which was a game changer. Because when I realized I had low thyroid, and I spoke to my GP, and when he told me, I was like, that's what makes sense. And I think Bookie said it. Once you know what it is, you're like, I know what it is. It makes sense. That's all I need to know. Give me what I need to take so I can set myself right. But I think with any type of anxiety, it's just being able to talk about what the anxiety is. But I think there's something about holistic support here, where it can be the mental health side of things, but it can, and as Doctor was saying, the physical side of the symptoms to do with hormones.
Yeah.
Take it to your GP, because you don't just check, get your blood work regularly checked, see what's going on with yourself physically, and also then you can talk about the sort of general feelings of anxiety as well. But I think if you can deal with the sort of symptom, the medical side of things, understanding what's going on in your body, and take whatever you have to take for that. A lot of women don't want to take any type of drug. They're very worried about taking any sort of medications. And I always encourage women to do that. Do what works for you. But also, if you have to, you can also speak to a therapist as well to balance it out. But I think it's a dual thing. It's about looking at what's going on in your body and also what's going on with your mind. I think they go hand in hand.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, thank you for that. Honestly, because it's all interconnected.
Definitely, it's holistic, and we need to look. And the thing with the NHS is they look at this. They look at one thing. Let's look at this. We don't look at the whole. We need to look at the whole holistic health. And that's important because one thing affects something else. And if you're just looking at this isolated area, and you're looking at the 90%, you're going to have a problem. So I think if you're lucky with a GP who's open to connecting things together, do your research. But I think when you do your own research, you can get into the areas of finding the wrong things, getting things mixed up, and it's a bit of. I know people go to Dr. Google, they go to Instagram, they go to all these places, TikTok, to find information and different things. They treat themselves, but you have to be very careful.
You have to be.
Yeah, you have to go to your GP. You definitely see a professional.
Definitely. I mean, after my experience of having that withdrawal thing with the magnesium and the supplement, I like, okay, I started speaking to a gynecologist friend of mine, like, okay, because we have to be careful with the things that we're taking and all of the reactions that the things that we don't know that we're taking might be having, because medication and drugs interact and can cause other kind of things. So we really need to be careful, making sure that we're carrying our healthcare professional, caregiver along with some of these things. So we're being, and also the mind, honestly, and I must say thank you to you, Lola, that without sometimes having conversations with you, because as a counselor, like, and the mind beat really helps. I cannot even lie, because, I was saying to a friend of mine recently, I was having a conversation with my mom. My mom is a retired nurse. And I was saying to her, how on earth you were a nurse and now retired, you didn't have conversation with me around menopause? So I said to my mom, what were your symptoms? What did you have? Because I'm having major anxiety. And my mom is 76-year-old. And she took a look at me. Oh, did I say 76? Sorry, she's 85 now. She took a look at me and said, why are you anxious? What's wrong? What's making you anxious? I said, I don't know. I think it's menopause. She looked at me and said, my friend, go and read your Bible.
Yeah.
She said, Mommy, actually, okay, that might be a solution, but I must have enough of the word of God in me, or like, what does the scripture say about anxiety? Be anxious for nothing, But I mustn't. Right now, I need practical help. Okay, I know the scripture will help me if I focus on it, and it is life-giving and all of that. But I just thought, oh my God, the woman didn't share with me. Now she's not even about to share with me her experience.
But the thing is, I think it's just that older generation is just walk it off. It was almost like just continue. Whether they even notice the symptoms, who knows? Because it's literally you just carry on like nothing.
That's a very valid question. If they knew it was a symptom,
let's keep it moving.
Oh, okay, that's a normal thing with women. We'll just live through it and we just endure it and all of that.
That stigma, and what I advise people to do is just talk about. I sent a list of my symptoms to my daughter, who's 17, to my son, who's 14, to my husband, because I'm like, this is what's going on for me. You have to know what's going on.
It's important.
Son, you're going to marry a woman and you're going to have children, so you need to understand. My daughter, you're going to get to this stage in life, because I want to stop that cycle of let's not talk about it. Let's talk about it. Everyone talks about it. Let's all have this conversation. My 40-year-old son would just look at me, Mummy, why are you sweating? Where we were in Iceland or something, you're in the freezer section. Why are you always going towards the fan? because I'm sorry, and my husband be like, well, you're just joint pain. Oh, you just need to do. It's like, no, these are real symptoms. You need to understand these are real things that happen.
Yeah, yeah.
Just really, really want to press in that people should talk. They should communicate. They shouldn't feel bad. Just we need to start that conversation. This conversation has to be flowing. And I thank you, Doctor, talking about HRT, because there's so much misconceptions about it, so much fear. I don't know where it's coming from. And as you pointed out, people are just terrified. I can't do that. So you rather suffer. I don't take HRT, but you rather suffer in it than take it, because it's this whole thing. It's dangerous. How is it
Yeah.
dangerous? Why is it dangerous?
Mm-hmm.
So just
Having
bringing that
said
to
that,
light. Just like,
yeah.
let's just have a conversation
Mm.
about
Mm.
it.
Thank you for highlighting that, and something that we must continue to have a conversation about, and also creating awareness. People around us. I have a 16-year-old son, and in fact, my husband and everyone in my house, like, everything is about menopause. And I said it has to be, because that is see why. That is, you people must hear. You have to hear. You have to understand. Like, why are you sleeping? One day, I have this jiggly thing that I used to receive my brain that I'm doing workout. I just stand on it and it's moving all my joints and everywhere in my body and all of that. Anyway, so one day I was on the thing. I was tired. I was sleeping. My son came to me. Are you okay? Why are you sleeping? I'm like, because I'm tired. I want to sleep. He's like, okay, come off the thing and just go and sleep. Like, I'm going to do it, but just this routine thing. I just want to get you out of the way and do. It's yawning.
Sorry.
It's past your bedtime. I know.
Me, this 7, I'm in my bed. 7. I might wake up, but 7, I'm on my bed. So
See,
this is
hear
good.
you. I hear you. And we have to normalize this conversation. We have to let the people around us understand, our daughters, our sons. My son, the other day, I was driving. I've lived in the area that I lived for how many years now? I got to a junction. I was confused. I didn't know which way to turn. I said to my son, can you tell me what turn do I need to take? He looked at me funny, like, what's wrong
Are
with you?
you okay?
Yeah. He actually said, are you okay, Mom? I'm like, yeah, but just tell me quickly. I need to know. And then he told me, and then later when we got home, we're like, what's wrong with you? What's going on with you? Why would I like, it's menopause. Some of the things, so I started him now. I was showing him symptoms. These are the things that can happen, but these are what my symptoms are. So, like you said, rightly said, Lola, we need to let people around us know, our young, no matter how young they are, they're not too young. Book was leading earlier on to the fact that younger women, the earlier you can start to
At least
be aware.
understand what's going on. Yeah.
Yes, and then you can connect the dots when it actually happens. So even so this is what I'm doing for. I have a young daughter as well, making sure that this is a real thing. It's not just.
So
It's
I had a summit in the summer, and
okay.
it was a mixture. So we
Mhm.
had older women, but we had some younger women, and I was actually quite impressed by the younger women. They said, "Oh my God, I'm so glad I came.
Mhm,
Now I
mhm,
understand."
mhm,
These are 20-something-year-olds, 30-year-olds, younger
mhm,
women. They really, really value the whole event. It was quite interesting. And they
mhm.
say, oh, next year we're coming with our friends. I said, aha, that's what we need.
We need to educate the younger generation. They need to know. They need to start to um connect the dots when it starts, and also mitigate it early, because if you know what's coming, you start to prepare. You start to be 2 3 steps ahead of it. And
Because it's
they're not.
hormonal, the good habits you imbibe from young,
Mm-hmm,
they sustain you. They come with you into this phase, and you're able to use some of those lifestyle aspects to help manage your symptoms. Because even with HRT, Dr. Shegs, you still need to have those lifestyle pillars in place, to make sure that everything is working together to make a woman feel well.
absolutely, absolutely. Thank you. And talking about lifestyle and habits and all of that, um, tell us quickly, how can nutrition and the daily habits, that women build, influence your experience of menopause? Share with that in your experience.
So, I mean, the foods we eat, food is medicine. It's
It
not,
is.
it's not cliche.
It's not.
it's not cliche. Food is medicine. So I mean, the foods we eat, we need to align our foods with the way we want to feel. So Dr. Sheik's talked about estrogen protecting our hearts. If when it's not there, if you
Mm-hmm.
eat, you need to eat foods that protect your heart. You need to eat foods that help you manage weight because we start to pile on weight when we lose estrogen. We need to eat well for our bones. We are losing bone mass. We are losing muscle mass. So those things should help you determine what sort of foods do you want to eat. You need
Mm.
to eat what is more natural rather than processed. You need to take away sugars so that that all that metabolic system you keep that at equilibrium. So I mean, when I talk about it, typically I say one sentence: eat more plants. So
Mm.
that is fruits, that is vegetables, and it's certain fruits as well.
Mm-hmm.
Eat proteins as well. Proteins are good for muscle.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, if you're vegetarian, then you need to find plant proteins.
Mm-hmm.
Our diet. So I'm actually I pulled up the IMS fact sheet because this year the
Mm-hmm.
International Menopause Society their theme for menopause month and year is lifestyle medicine in menopause health care.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So their fact sheet, they talk about the Mediterranean diets. Clearly, that doesn't apply to me that wants to eat pounded yam. But we can take some of those principles and put them in, so eat more plants, eat more vegetables, eat natural, take away synthetic oils that, can be inflammatory. We could have a whole session on, I think we need to have a separate session on lifestyle, to be honest, because it's
Good. Okay, we will. Okay, let's do that. Then we will.
with
But
that
what?
chef, that chef Lola, she's good for food as well.
Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah. Okay, I didn't know how. I mean, whilst we're on this food business,
Mm.
yam. You mentioned yam. Apparently, I've heard that yam is good when you're in menopause or have menopausal symptoms because even some of the party or some of the HRT stuff is made from yam. Dr. Shags, HRT advocates. Is he there?
Yeah, he's he's trying to come off mute.
Ah, okay.
Sorry, I'm working this my mute button.
Okay. Did you hear my question?
No, I do apologize. It was on a bleep.
Okay.
Do you mind? Yeah,
So Book was talking about we're talking about food and Book
you.
was saying food
Yeah.
is medicine and all and trying to give us guidance around food and herbs and plant-based food and protein and whatnot. But so she mentioned yam. So and I was saying that I've heard in the past that yam is good if you're in menopause. That it's good to eat yam, and also that some of the HRT stuff is made from yam. So just wanted to verify that.
So for me, I can't pretend I know where the pharmacists, where the pharmaceutical companies, where they get their everything at the end of the day is made from chemicals. Even your smells are synthesized from chemical agents. They synthesize it, find the chemical mix that can smell like something or taste like something and then they put food coloring to make it close to what you're used to seeing. Um, Sometimes when certain foods are touted as doing good work, it's because it contains something known as phytoestrogens.
Mm,
So it's just think of it like estrogen, plant estrogens. So I think the real big common ones we all know is it is found in soy, in like soya beans. So it's found in soy meals, and then in flax seeds.
mm,
Do you know these? So,
mm.
but in yam, it's a difficult one. I do wonder. I'm sure if I look through the literature, I'll probably see that someone has distilled or found the link as to why
Just
in southwest Nigeria there were high twinning rates, and people put it down to the yam. So again, I wonder whether it might be a species that just has a high content of phytoestrogens. Because with phytoestrogens, I can imagine it sort of popping off an extra ovulation or causing an ovulation to have more than just the single egg coming to play. Who knows? Maybe that's what it is. But I can't say I've directly looked at the literature around this to
Okay,
say what's true or not. Hmm.
all right. Okay, thank you for that, Dr. Shegs. It's okay. We carry on, but what's also important that I think Lola's alluded to, Book is alluded to, and even Dr. Shegs at some point is we have to also do our own due diligence. You need to be making sure that you're getting good sources of information and education, around um what's happening to your body during this time of whatever stage of the journey you're in, Perry. You just
Post.
done had menopause, or you is postmenopausal. It is key
Yeah,
to be able to educate yourself, and also, you know, join communities and sisterhood where women are talking about these things. There's no need to suffer in silence, and engage. We was talking about, women like me not engaging, as in black people. We don't want to talk about this since we don't want to engage. We need to engage. We need to talk about this. We need to normalize talking about it, because it's when we talk about this that other people, or someone, I mean, we're talking about this now. I'm sure someone listening to us this evening gleaned and learned something from our experiences, or something that Bookie's mentioned, or Lawless got
mm,
mentioned, or that I might have mentioned, and you, Dr. Shakes, have mentioned as a consultant gynecologist, that will be helpful on this journey. And honestly,
yeah,
women, ask your questions, send us messages. We're happy to get across to the professionals and the experts to be able to answer your question. That's why we're here. That's what we do. Have a Feminine Health and Fiber Support Network to make this conversation, to normalize this conversation, about women's health and helping us on our well-being and wellness journey. You know, one last thing about HRT before I let you rest, Dr. Shay.
oh, okay. Um,
No, we're flogging this night. We will have another session where we
can
just,
I just before you ask about the HRT, I
yeah.
just wanted to just say something that is also important. So, in the menopause, excuse me, it's important to just understand that regular health checks are still quite important. And these regular health checks, women, especially more than men, are living longer, slightly longer than men. And even at menopause, we're still talking about there's still 30 to 40 years or that women will still live. And it's just important to just get all of that said. So, things like the bone density scan. So again, I do appreciate that sometimes in underserved populations, in resource poor settings, some of these things are expensive, difficult to achieve. Then we're talking about things like cardiovascular health, so making sure one is checking their blood pressure,
Cholesterol.
cholesterol levels, you
Yes,
understand?
yes.
And just all these sort of health checks, they all become crucial. You remember the chefs have stopped producing, and the estrogen was meant to be helping with these. Then, just the routine things that we're lucky that is offered, for example, in the UK, breast screenings, cervical cancer screening, breast cancer screening, cervical cancer screening. It's important to just make sure that one is up to date with that. And even more so with the breast cancer screening when one is taking the HRT, just so that at least that way it takes away the anxiety of that from you. Then it's important to just maintain one's weight and to just ensure that one isn't sort of heading towards a high BMI or a lifestyle that can promote the onset of type 2 diabetes. So it's just to get into that maintenance mode, as these hormones aren't there to help you drive things anymore. just to ensure that one has stayed healthy. There's
Mm.
a lot being said about building muscle mass and
Mm-hmm.
trying to, just keep that muscle mass. Of course, people with more muscle, hopefully, they are less frail as they get even older. They are less likely to be prone to falls, which can
Practice.
be what causes a lot of distress for the older age population. So again, muscle mass building. You talked about walks, swimming, lifting weights. It's really important that we also, men, women alike, start to build it into our daily lives as we age.
Yeah.
About the HRT, did you want to circle back to that or?
This HRT matter. No, honestly, I mean, thank you for first of all, before I go back to HRT, thank you for highlighting, regular checks, even in that midlife years, which is important. We need to go for our screens. We need to go for our checks, And I also wanted to check, I mean, you talked about our cholesterol level, you know, bone density and all of that. Can that be checked with one test, or you have to do various tests to be able to um see where you're at with all of that?
With the bone density, that's like it's an X-ray. It's an
Okay.
X-ray. Sometimes people, that's separate. People can do blood tests to just look at, like your magnesium levels, calcium levels, and things like that in the blood. For short here, we just call them the bone bloods.
Mm,
Phosphate levels, that sort of thing, and that can help with, the specific, should I say, mineral that they are looking to ask you to add back. There are medications that we can take to help to slow down or reduce osteoporosis. Sadly, some of these things also have genetic basis, so if it runs more in certain families, it's good to be aware of it so that one can start chasing these scans, chasing how to build in these exercises that help to build muscle bulk, because it can help to slow some of these things down.
mm,
So yeah, in terms of the other tests, cholesterol testing and so on, blood pressure checking, that's not a blood test as well. We just need our SFIG to check the blood pressure.
yeah.
So some of them are a mixture of blood tests, scans, or physical examinations, or even just blood pressure checks, like we just said.
Thank you for that. Oh my God, I just looked at the time. We have long gone past our time. Well, I mean, it's been an interesting conversation, and we should do this more. I know that Wiki has said we should have one whole session just to talk about food and all of that, and we should do that, honestly. But I'm just going to go around the table. This is HRT. I don't think we should have one whole session just talk about HRT
It's
and
fine. It's
and
fine.
helping women
I think it's that important.
walk through this fear and debunking some of the things that has created fear, and just helping women get the help that they need, because I know I haven't used it. I've I did give it to me a few times. Like, I'm still thinking about it, but honestly, we need it's a conversation that we need to have and help women honestly get right on their journey through menopause. But because our time is fast spent, I'm just going to go around the table, and I know I was going to ask about community. What role the community plays, in helping women thrive rather than suffer in silence, during menopause. If you wanted to answer that first, Dr. Shanks, and then I go to the ladies.
All right. Thank you. I think the community is important. I think it's. I've already said this. What you ladies are doing, what you're doing, or just speaking out, sharing your experiences is the sort of thing that gets propagated within the community. And in terms of communities, just to remember that. In certain settings, especially where some of us are from, community was everything. Community was just right there in front of you, In some of these climes, individualistic tendencies are usually built in, where we're trying to create an aloneness, and after a while, you need that community. Your community will help you in terms of frailty, in terms of just that encouragement to do exercise, to eat proper, to avoid loneliness. So, yeah, the community is really important. The more we talk within the community, the more we teach the younger generation, who feel less anxious about reaching the menopause and less anxious about the available treatments that might be there at
Mm.
that time for them.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Buki, if I come to you, please the
So
role of community in helping women thrive.
it's the support. It's being in a space where you can trust the information that's being shared with you. You
Mm.
get the right support. You get signposted, even if that within that community, particularly, they're not able to help you. Are signposting you to evidence-based, to experts that are not winging it out there. And yes, you know that you have a good sounding board,
Mm.
and people that can assist you, support you, walk alongside you, keep you accountable as well, because a lot of the time,
Yeah.
we 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 feel, I always say, we feel this thing is an anointing that just pops on you.
Magic just comes on you.
We as women have to do the work, and
Yeah.
to do the work
We-
is not easy. So when you have someone that can keep you on your toes to say, okay, how are we doing here? I walk alongside you. It's always quite helpful. And
Mm.
to your point as well, Tony, you said, oh, I'm not alone. I don't It's not just me going through this. You see what other people are doing. That peer support as well, within a group is always helpful.
Absolutely.
Don't
Absolutely.
do menopause alone. Please don't.
Please don't do it alone. Don't do it alone, please. Thank you. Thank you for that, Buki. Lola, to you quickly.
Just what everyone has said. It's especially for your mental health. Don't isolate yourself. Come
Mm.
out, connect, speak. This forum is fantastic because this is the thing. It encourages you feel connected. In our modern day society, it's easy to be isolated, sit on home on your own, suffering in silence. But go out there, keep talking, keep talking. That's what I'll say. And as you said, we're not alone. Just keep talking.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. Thank you. Thank you. And I mean that takes me to even the other question not question. I was going to say one thing. If you wanted to do one thing with women to now, but I think Lola, you just said it. Keep talking. Honestly, keep talking. Keep talking.
Be part of the conversation.
Yeah. Engage. Engage. Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah. Because so many women speak, you know, I'm always amazed when women talk about how they're feeling. When you say, "Oh yeah, that's the same as this person," this it's like a surprise, a relief,
Mm,
and
mm,
it is always gets me all the time. It's just like, wow, we really are just sitting in this suffering on our own.
Mm-hmm.
Go out,
mm.
talk, connect, speak. You'll feel better for it.
I do. I know when I speak to you, I do, honestly. And when I say things out that, you think it's crazy. Like that, when I said I put the chair behind the door, I thought that was a crazy thing to do. I'm like, who does that? And then to get someone to say, I actually do that. I'm like, what? And honestly, it is kind of it unburdens you too. So because sometimes when you think, am I going crazy? Why am I putting a chair behind the door? Because and all of that. Well, it just helps you to know that you're not going crazy. It's just some changes that you need to learn how to deal with and all of that. So please, this brings us to the end of this. We're all women going through menopause. Other symptoms. Some of us is past our bedtime. But thank you, everyone who's joined tonight, everyone who's listened to this or who will be listening to this. Well, like Lola said, like Bokia said, we need to engage. We need to carry on talking about these things and help each other, group support and join support network. Don't do it alone.
Let me
Don't
say one thing. Let me
suffer in
say one thing.
silence.
I
Let
wanted to say one thing. So
you
if
carry
anybody
on.
Sorry, I beg your pardon. If anyone wants to connect with us,
Yeah.
because one of the things we are doing in Vibrant Midlife, I don't if I said it's a CIC, but we did get some money. So what we're going to do is bring clinical access to
Okay.
women. So that's coming in. We're working on it. It will come either back end of this year
Mm-hmm.
or very early next year.
Amazing.
Where
Amazing.
we'll be able to offer clinical access to clinicians, to groups of women that come with Dr. Shakes. I'm sure you're familiar with the VGC model. So
Is
yeah, so
that a
it's
virtual
that.
thing or is that or in person thing? Will that be virtual or in person?
So it will most likely be virtual.
Okay.
Yeah, it will most likely be. It will can we can make it in person, but in order that we can expand the reach as best as possible,
Yeah.
we will predominantly run virtual meetings, virtual clinics. So yeah, that's coming soon.
I
So for
mean,
anyone that thinks, oh, where do I find a menopause specialist? Join our circles.
absolutely. And that will be Vibrant. Follow on Instagram, Vibrant Midlife.
I bet midlife Meno.
No.
In fact, I do most of my stuff on LinkedIn. If I'm honest, book your
Oh,
idea on LinkedIn.
please. After we had an experience with Meta, we got shut. Our space got shut down. Please, everything we do now is across. But you find our stuff, our
Yeah, I do
our
most of my stuff on
our
LinkedIn.
resources on YouTube. You will find it on
Yeah,
LinkedIn now because
you have to spread. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
you
yeah.
cannot stay with only Meta stuff because when they decide to shut them down because you have violated one thing that you don't even know or you don't understand that you have violated. So please, yes, please. And your LinkedIn
Okay,
um
you ready? On LinkedIn.
as you or as Barbara Midlife.
Book Yariade
Oh,
on,
okay.
yeah,
So you can
privately, but yeah, yeah, if people want to see what's going on, really, my posts on LinkedIn are where it's at.
okay.
So yeah, we're bringing those through very soon.
Awesome. Also, I mean that would be good because in our experience, yes, this year, sometime this year, we had this tea, and so I mean, in FHF, we will do virtual consultations for hub members and all of that
Mm-hmm.
second opinion, and just try to
Mm-hmm.
give them pathway. But we tried something. We had a tea event, and we tried face-to-face consultation, and people loved it, and they're
Mm-hmm.
asking for us to do it again and all of that. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'll just kind of allude to the fact that virtual one will be awesome, cover more and reach more women, but also having those
Yeah, we will
um
do some
clinic.
that will be
Yeah,
face to
yeah,
face. Yeah,
that will be amazing, amazing. Thank
absolutely.
you, thank you so much, Lola. Please, so please shout out what's your Instagram handle if you wanted to.
Well, I'm under Rhythm for Living on Instagram, so look
Okay.
up Rhythm for Living.
Mm-hmm. Are you on LinkedIn or
I am on LinkedIn under my name.
okay?
You can find me there as well.
Amazing, amazing. So please follow uh, if you're looking for amazing resources, authentic resources, useful resources that you can trust. Please
Please. Yeah.
follow, like these amazing ladies, and they're doing great work in the space that you're in the space that Dr. Shags. You're on LinkedIn as well, Dr. Shags, as you.
Uh, I'm on LinkedIn. Sadly enough, I don't really
You
sort of,
don't link on
You
I
LinkedIn.
don't
don't.
link. It's very poor. I'm very poor with this.
You're busy.
I'm not very social media sort of presence.
You just focus
But
on your work, X,
this
and
is the
help.
year it changes. So
Wait, which
this
part?
is the year it
Which
changes.
this 2025 or 2026?
No, this year it's still there's still the year is still pregnant.
Okay. It will born it.
so
Oh
so
my
yeah.
God.
But yeah, I was speaking to some people about something similar to what you're talking about, Bookie, and yeah. So we're just looking through, just trying to set things in motion. So maybe mine, I'll say watch my space. My space is currently my name first.
Good afternoon. Yes. Amazing. We're stepping up in the social media world. Let's do this.
Oh, yes. So.
Amazing, amazing. So this has been a very
Thank
I
thank you very
love
much, Toyin,
conversation.
for
I
this.
absolutely
So
loved it.
maybe till next time, I guess.
Yeah, I absolutely
Thank you.
enjoyed this conversation, and thank you, ladies and gentlemen,
Good night.
for coming and for sharing and for all of these useful resources that you've shared. Please follow, like, and for the authentic resources and helpful conversation, engage in the communities. And if you have questions for any of our guests tonight, please send it our way. And I'm happy to pass it on to them, and then we can come back to you. Or if you just easily follow them on the social media platforms, and then you can ask the questions.
Yeah, we
Uh,
have a download, coping with menopause symptoms in work and in work or business.
okay.
It's there on LinkedIn. So yeah, if people want that.
Amazing. You heard it. You've heard it. Please go download it, get useful information. And we talked about menopause symptom checkers. Please get that a copy of that thing. Get a copy of it and use it and use it and use it. And I hope everyone who's joined, who's listening to this, gleaned something from this. This has been useful. This has been helpful. Let's continue to engage. Let's have this conversation. Thank you, ladies, for joining me tonight, and gentlemen. And like I said when we started, we need the men allies. We need them to understand what we're going through, so they know how to look after us. You know. And so thank you everyone for joining me tonight in this conversation. And we'll be back with Bookie talking about just food and lifestyle, and also, of course, with Lola, how this impacts mental health, and our special HRC session, which is a must have, because we need to debunk some of these fears and the things that why is it the reason why women are not taking that thing. I'm not, but with Dr. Shek's down, I'm sure it's going to be on my case. I will start to consider my options. No, but this has been a lovely, lovely conversation, and thank you. I'm grateful. Thank you for joining me tonight. I absolutely enjoyed our conversation, and thank you for sharing. Have a lovely. It's past our bedtime, but
Thank you.
thank you,
Good
everyone.
night.
Bye.
Have
Bye.
a good night. Thank you,
Bye.
and God bless. I am grateful. Thank you for joining me tonight. Good night, everyone.